Hello and welcome to ChinnyVision. This time, we're off to the library. Well, not strictly the library, but you remember a couple of years ago, reviewed this book by Stuart Ashen, Terrible Old Games You Probably Never Heard Of, which I get thanked for in there because I just answered one question from Stuart about the Amstrad CPC, but I managed to get a thank you credit for that, so that was quite cool. And this book's really good, and if you don't have a copy, get it. Lots of details of terrible old games you've probably never heard of, and LA SWAT, which you probably had heard of if you watch this channel, but it's terrible. But there's a new book out. Stuart's got a new book out. It's been out a little while, but I've just got my copy. Attack of the Flickering Skeletons. This may be a supporter copy. I've been sent this because I'm actually written some stuff in here. So, yeah, but I think the normal version has probably a flat cover. I could be wrong there. It's difficult to tell on the Amazon listing. But this has Lenticular. Look at that. I had a ruler at school like that. Hey. I should just do this all day now. Anyway, right. Let's get in close and have a look at the book. So I think the retail price of this is $12.99. Actually, if you look on Amazon at various times, the way Amazon works, it bounces the price up and down. This morning, it looks about £10.50 to get hold of a copy, which is very good considering this is a really thick hardback book and it's much bigger than the original as well and thicker and all that. So that's really cool. It is written by Stuart. If you don't know who Stuart is, he's probably the most famous person on YouTube ever. Or certainly the third most famous person from Norwich after John Benson's Organ and Motley the Jester. But he has a really popular YouTube channel. You've seen it. You're watching ChinnyVision. There's probably about 2,500 subs to this channel, and Stuart's got like 1 billion. So you know who Stuart is. He's really good at old games and stuff like that, and he does foodie stuff as well. But the old game stuff is the best stuff for us. For our kind of, well, I mean, the other stuff's enjoyable, but you know what I mean? It's what I enjoy that he does the most. And yeah, so we have a look at the book, and we got, it's an unbound book, so it was kind of crowdfunded type thing, and you get all the usual stuff. I'm not going to flick through all the pages, but there's going to be a few games in here that you'll recognise from ChinnyVision that I've covered, one in particular, in fact. We've got some details there. We start off with Auf Wiedersehen Pet, which we have reviewed on the channel by Bob Carr and Tynesoft. Move that over there so you can see it. Not so you can read all of it, so I'm not going to show you all the pages. But this is a good example of an entry in here and a game that we are familiar with on the channel. Reviewed it about 18 months ago, something like that. It's terrible. And Stuart comes to exactly the same conclusion. It is absolutely terrible. I mean, the wall game, that was just Tynesoft, you dreadful, dreadful people. And you get about 6 pages on most of the reviews, including tips to recreate this game in real life, which it has become trapped in a hell dimension that exists to mock our own in an attempt to go about your normal daily life. Remember to strap bananas to your feet and run everywhere at full speed, because, of course, in the bar scene, you move Oz around to try and collect the beer, and he just kind of zooms around like a completely mad idiot thing. So, yeah, but actually the page we're going to look at, I think is, there we go. Game there. Rick the Roadie, and yeah, it's me. And I've seen this review on the channel a while back. It's a bit weird, actually, because I recorded, when Stuart asked me to write this about a year ago, if not a bit more than that, I thought, right, I've got to do the review now. So I did the review and had to hold it back until I didn't want to put it out before the book was published, because I didn't want to give away stuff that potentially I was saying as well, because that would spoil the book for Stuart. So I bought it out after the book had been out for a few weeks. But yeah, I mean, we know how terrible Rick the Roadie is. That's my Electron copy there. I think if that's the scan I sent Stuart there. And in here as well, I managed to get all the screenshots from the actual hardware. They come out really well, just like the ChinnyVision calendar does. Sometimes you look at them on the screen and go, not sure if that's going to come out particularly well. And then, no, it's absolutely fine. A nice sharp definition on there. You wouldn't necessarily know these weren't taken from an emulator where it'd be a bit sharper. But nice to have that when we do, the whole point of the channel here is to use original hardware. So thanks to Stuart for using the original stuff rather than just using the capture. The book's really good. There's so much in here. Some games I really want to check out Castle Top on the XL and XE. I've seen this for sale back in the day, alternative software. Same people who bought Rick the Roadie, and of course, what's it, Count Duckula 2? That was in Count Duckula 1, which is a bit better. I love the original cover there, though. That's something else, really, isn't it? Castle Top DPM software. We've got to check that one out sometime. I do like the old Atari colourful text. There's it's so many pages. How many pages are there in here? There's 200 odd pages, and all of it's good stuff. It's not these books you see coming out just have loads of pictures and very little text, and it's all very lazy. Here's some pictures of some old micros and some old games, and we're going to call it a coffee table book. Just laziness. This has got so much wordage in it, and you're going to learn stuff about it as well, what it's like to play. Because Stuart's not just, he is talking about stuff embedded in the code and things like that. He's actually researched all of these games. There's, as I say, there's guests in here as well. I'll find another guesser. Who's that there? I can't see. Jimquisition, reviewing Short Circuit. That's a nice, that's C64 logo screen. Loading screen, looks nice. Any other channel friends in here? I think there are. Horsenberger's there. Oh, look, Death Kick. Death Kick's. Now, before the book came out, Stuart did message me and say, you've got to check out this game on ChinnyVision. And yeah, we have. It's something else. Yeah, Blaby Computer Games. Yeah, absolutely terrible game. And yeah, Stuart had exactly the same problem I had with it, just crashing when you get to a certain screen. So you can't get onto other levels. And yeah, I mean, as he points out here, Kung Fu Master hit the CPC in 1986, and it's very good. So why would you play this rubbish? Or Ya Kung Fu or many other games. And yeah, it's all good stuff. We've got stuff here as well. Lowest magazine scores. So Dick Tracy on the C64. GX4000 version, that's terrible. And there's so much good stuff. I can't flick through all of this. And I really like the Hair Razor article as well. That's a really detailed. I'm not going to spoil that here. There's loads of details about what went on with this con of a puzzle game, like a few screens. It went to solve a clue in real life, and then you'd win the golden hair, and it would be worth a lot of money. But it was rubbish and a con. That's a nice loading screen. Kansas Munch Man. And Mensky. Top bearded, not Big Clive person. Mensky here with details of conversions to home software. I've got a bit of beef with him in here, actually, because he does. If you're watching this, Mensky, I've got some beef with you. Where's it gone? Everything's very fair and reasonable, and I agree with everything, apart from talking about Street Fighter 2 on the Specky, because, yeah, okay, Street Fighter 2 on the Specky should never have been ported to the system. But they did it, and it was tier text. Actually, I think it's one of their better conversions. I sat there when I did the review and played it for quite a while. And okay, the multi-load's a killer because it's on a C60 cassette and it takes forever to load. But if you're playing it off an image, no, it's not a version of Street Fighter 2 you're going to choose to play in any way over any other version. But it's competent. They've actually tried. The graphics look good. It actually kind of works for a tier text conversion. It seems that somebody actually thought, oh, we better put the effort in this time, lads. Probably our last Spectrum game. No, it's not great, but I think Your Sinclair, what they give it, somewhere in the 60s. I think that's about fair. It's not quite as terrible as I think Mensky says here. Obviously, its Specky version is uncredited, but is allegedly by tier text, and is tier text standard. I'd say it's slightly above their standard. That's my beef. Don't come around my house, Mensky, and beat me up. There's loads more in here. Terrible old game covers you've probably never seen before. Here, I'm not going to spoil all these, but we do have Metrocross, the USA release, with Peter Crouch off to get his nachos. And Roland on the Run as well. We've covered Roland on the Run channel on the channel before. It's made by the people who made Bridget. And I really should do a video on the crimes of Amsoft one of these weeks, because Amsoft did a lot. I've always made a good point of saying Amsoft did a load of good games, which they did. They put out loads of games like Raid, Beachhead, Sorcery Plus, and so on, and Lords of Midnight. Put all those games out on the Amstrad, and everyone says Amsoft are rubbish. And you go, well, no, because they also put out all those games as well. But some of the early games where they were just trying to rush games onto the system, and which was really important to get actually a user base there and lots of games for people to buy. And Roland on the Run was done by Epic Soft, who did Bridget, and ostensibly it's kind of the same. It looks attractive in stills. Do not be deceived. Do not be deceived by the stills, because it's terrible. Getting towards the end of the book now, and it's really good. And another nice thing this time is in the previous book, there were a lot of pages given over to the backers. The backers are incredibly important. These are the people who funded the book, but there was quite a lot of pages given over in the previous book, and you got about 2 or 3/4 of the way through the book, and thought, oh, it's we're kind of here it is. It's all over, and I've got no more to read unless I want to read the backer's name, which would be weird. Look, Ginny Hill, I can't see that. I'm not looking at the camera viewfinder. That's why I got ego for me. But I genuinely just flicked to that page. But yeah, you add all those pages of backers in the old one, which is fair enough, but it's done much better in the new one, because you've got these bigger pages, and it's just like a few pages here, which is fair enough. So, that's Stuart Ashen's book, Attack of the Flickering Skeletons. Attack of the Flickering Skeletons. I must edit that. Really, really good. As I say, I don't think you get on the standard version this lenticular cover. But I think it's a really good read. I've read through it. I've had it a few weeks, and the old book is one that's on my shelf. And I sometimes find myself flicking through just when I've got an idle 5 minutes, because it's really good. And there's so many people at the moment releasing retro books, and a lot of them are good. A lot of them are just lazy cash-ins, and this definitely goes into the category of not just very good, it's superb. I thoroughly recommend it. If you're the kind of person who enjoys ChinnyVision, there's so much crossover with this book in terms of some of the games we've reviewed and some of the games we will review. I think sometimes the kind of games that tickles Stuart's fancy also tickle my fancy, or I've played before, I've got experience of. He's an Amstrad owner as well. Therefore also kind of had the same experience of the same terrible Amstrad games. So yeah, if you enjoy ChinnyVision and kind of games we cover on here, check out Attack of the Flickering Skeletons. I suggest you go on Amazon, because they do dip down that price from time to time. You may well get a bargain as well.